Hey guys, good morning. It's Julie Pankey, and I'm coming to you live this morning from a very cold and snowy southern Maine, far different than was it last week or the week before when I was in Miami, which was much cozier. And I think, well, I was in Miami a couple of weeks ago, then Chris was in Miami last week, and now we're both coming to you from a cold climate.
Yeah.
New York. Chris is in New York. I'm in southern Maine, and I'm really excited to do another interview with Christopher Drummond. It's been probably a year or so since we did our last interview. I think too much time has gone by.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Julie, that interview on my I'm getting all the social media confused. On my YouTube channel, that's like one of my biggest viewed videos. I think we got over like 15,000 views on that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
so it's something that people want to hear and want to talk about, and hear from someone like me that's a layman to all of this, and talk to an expert like you, because a lot of us are still really learning about permanent makeup.
Right.
And so if you don't know Christopher Drummond, here is our friend, Christopher Drummond. I'm lucky enough that he's one of my BFFs, but he is also, in addition to being my BFF, a celebrity makeup artist, celebrity permanent makeup artist. He is a microblading expert, works for some of the leading doctors in the country, from New York City to New Jersey to South Beach, doing
LA,
that's right. So really doing his craft, which continues to grow. So what we wanted to talk to him about today here in the SpaHive is what the future is of permanent makeup. So Chris, let's just start with that. Maybe explain, for new people, what it is exactly permanent makeup does and offers, and, what is the future?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I'll just say, I started 7 years ago in this business, and it really kind of fell into my lap. As a makeup artist, as a pro makeup artist of 20 years, I never saw myself doing permanent makeup, because it was kind of, 7 years ago was considered cheesy and, tacky, and, the colors weren't good, and the work didn't look good, and I didn't want to be associated with it. But things have changed dramatically now than 7, even 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of growth and a lot of changes, specifically in the tools and in the colors that are used and the techniques that are used. It's a totally different ballgame with permanent makeup, and it's really exciting to be in, because as a former makeup artist, I got so burnt out on doing makeup. And
right.
So this has kind of rejuvenated me personally, and a lot of the students that I have are coming in are, former makeup artists or current makeup artists or estheticians, and they want to, kind of monetize this, new trend of microblading and permanent makeup. So that's really kind of where it was, where, it was tacky, and everyone thought of, their grandma, having these really bad,
like tattooed on eyebrows.
Yeah, and because the old school tattoos, they turn orange and green and blue because the color doesn't leave your skin, whereas what we do now, it does.
Right.
So it's totally different, and I can't really honestly get into everything about why it's different, and but it is, and it's really exciting. And on the other hand, it's kind of scary, because there's very little regulation for permanent makeup in the industry. So pretty much anyone can do it with no experience.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. But one of the other questions is, so micropigmentation is different than like eyebrow tattooing? Like one is permanent, one is not permanent. Like how would you describe, I mean, so knowing you, I know that, you know, I'm going to have microblading is sort of semi-permanent makeup, right?
Right.
So how would you describe that?
So micropigmentation is everything. Micropigmentation is tattooing. Okay, whether it's on the body, whether it's on the face, whether it's on the scalp, wherever it is, it's a tattoo. So you just have different variances of it. Microblading is done with a hand tool. It's doing little hair strokes with a hand tool. That's microblading. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So then you go down to the other different levels. You can do hair strokes with a machine, mm-hmm. which is, that's what I've really been doing the most of, you know, in the past year. And you can do lips, you can do eyeliner. Those are all micropigmentation. But
they're not permanent. So
it's all pretty much semi-permanent. It's not going into the dermis. The reason I say semi-permanent is because it's different on everyone. Some people, you know, I do their eyebrows or eyeliner and it lasts 8 months, and some people I do it and it lasts 3 years. So the point is it doesn't last like a regular tattoo like this one I have here. This is gonna last forever. This tattoo is not gonna go away unless I laser it off, and even then it'll still be there because it's deep in the dermis. Whereas what we are doing as permanent cosmetic artists is in the epidermis, which is up in the top layers of the skin, and a regular tattoo is down here, so it doesn't move, and semi-permanent, it gets exfoliated off eventually.
Man, got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's great because if, you know, like a Brooke Shields brow is in now, and it might not be in 10 years from now, you know, we don't look like 10 years from now we have like this weird eyebrow that we don't fit into the trends. We can continue to evolve as the phases of eyebrows or whatever.
Right. It's totally, you can vary it, and it eventually fades off when you're doing semi-permanent makeup. It's also, a lot of it has to do with the pigments that we now use. They used to just use, you know, regular tattoo ink.
Okay.
And a regular tattoo machine. That's, you know, when a lot of people think of, you know, cosmetic tattooing, that's what they think of. They think of like really bad, and you know, the color's bad, but now we are able to take more organic pigments that are mineral based as opposed to being synthetic, and these colors eventually fade out of your skin. So they're lighter, and the colors are a lot more various. You can do pretty much any color you want, as opposed to back in the day, all they had was primary colors. They had black, they had red, they had green. They didn't have brown tattoo ink back in the day. So that's why you see so many, you know, just pure black eyebrows, because they didn't used to have brown or mauve or, you know, any of the other colors.
Right.
Match.
So now I feel like, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people are doing microblading.
Right.
You know, I'll go places and everybody's like, oh, you know, I learned microblading. I'm going to bring microblading to my spa. Or I'm a microblading, you know, person. You know, how oversaturated is the market right now?
It's kind of awful, honestly. Microblading, like I was saying before, there's very little regulation in the microblading industry, and people don't realize that. They think if someone says they're certified, that means, oh, you're going to be good at it. Well, it doesn't. Someone can be certified and have only been practicing for a week, you know, and it costs, we talked about this before in the other video, it costs very little to get certified. It takes very little time, usually 3 days to get a microblading certification. And that's true with permanent makeup as well. There's really no regulation out there, and no one's, you know, holding people accountable either. So it's getting really bad, especially with microblading, because it's really popular now.
Right.
But there are so many